And the other mad one I didn't tell you because the wife was about yesterday at the world unicycle convention. I don't know if you remember seeing me partway through, but I had a sling on.
Okay.
Because Sem Cycle had a stall there.
Yeah.
And I took my stilts with me.
Yeah.
I took my stilts on the off chance. They actually what is the dad's name? Did you find it in the end?
It's Carlo Abrahams.
But so Sem's dad and the Sem team built a giraffe unicycle with the multi wheels.
Yeah.
But so it was a 3-wheeler.
Yeah.
But they put the pedals on the bottom wheel.
Yes.
So I had knee pads on. I had the stilts on. I had Yuri one side and Sem the other side.
Yeah.
So I unicycled for a while. I fell off. The pair of them didn't catch me. I landed on the ground and broke my right radial head in my elbow.
All right, here we go. It's Russell Wells, the sequel. Because he does a lot more than just riding unicycles. Right, okay, just off the top of my head, I remember he was talking about some really great stilt costume ideas. Some great mingling character costumes. Tips on who can help you make these costumes. He's even done loads of stuff on living statues and living statue ideas. And listen to this. It begins with B, it ends with S. Balloons, yeah. He does masses of balloon stuff. We got ideas on balloon installations, on using motors to make the balloon, these giant balloon sculptures. Oh man, I still can't speak English. Motors to make the giant balloon sculptures move around. And information on double stuffing balloons to get super weird colours and extra strength. Alrighty. Listen, there's probably loads and loads of other stuff in this episode as well, so check it out. But first, a quick word from our sponsors. I love juggling, and the best place to buy all things juggling related is oddballs.co.uk. That's oddballs.co.uk. I've been going to their shop since the 1980s, and now you can go there online too. The staff at Oddballs really know what they're talking about. Will the juggling axe, a fire torch, and the juggling club work while I balance on a roller bowler? Yes, says the staff at Oddballs, because they've actually tried it. True story. They also sell bubble equipment, yo-yos, lassos, stilts, Diablos, roller bowlers, and unicycles. The list goes on and on and on. So visit oddballs.co.uk right now and get yourself some juggling equipment. I did it back in 1988 and built a whole career out of it. The links and contact details for Oddballs are all in this episode's description.
And the one mad idea I had like 25 years ago was a 2-seater unicycle.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the front and back tandem.
Oh, okay.
It was above and below. So then it went up 45 degrees behind the bottom person, and then it had a double cog. Then it went up about 4 foot, had another double cog, and then it went up to the top person with a single cog, and it was so heavy.
All right.
Yeah.
So we've got some unicycling stuff, but I didn't have time to talk to you about your career as the Pick and Mix circus guy. So.
Yeah.
So here we go. Look, we got to put out your website and your email. Is it www.pick-n-mix.co.uk?
Yeah.
There you go.
And my working email at the moment, I don't know if the Pick and Mix one's working, My working one at the moment is Russell Wells.
Okay.
Two L's in both. At live.com.
There you go. I'll put those in the description to the podcast as well, so people can check it out there. So, when did you become an entertainer, and what do you do? I know you do loads of stuff. Stilts, magic, unicycles, balloons, masses of balloons. Yeah. So tell me, when did this start? Because you started off as a unicyclist.
So I started unicycles about 35 years ago.
Yeah.
So I self-taught unicycle 35 years ago. Found nobody else in the circus or juggling scene for about a year.
Yeah.
And then, like I said at the beginning, I looked in the yellow pages and found Francis Maxey, who's amazing. He's amazing clown, but he doesn't make up. He's just like a comedy clown.
Yeah.
He does a slack rope routine. His finale, he puts a chair on the slack rope, and he plays the violin on the slack rope. Wow. He's got his own. I think he's got rid of it now, but he's got his own travelling slack rope. So, like I said, he taught me to juggle 34 years ago.
Yeah.
And practiced a bit of that. And then at juggling club, just went to juggling club. And then my first performance name on my own was Wells on One Wheel.
Mm.
That was my first performance name. And then about 25 years ago, I made some cheap business cards. We used to have a juggling shop in Cardiff, and a lot of my juggling friends worked in there. Tom and Alf, the guy who used to own it, Ross, unfortunately, is no longer with us, but he co-invented the Firefly juggling ball, the spiral one with the wick in the middle.
Yeah, I remember those.
Ross's signature piece. He'd do anywhere, kids' parties, anything. He just did. He didn't care. He would do a bit of juggling, and then he'd have one fireball. He'd get somebody to lie down, and he'd get them to put the fireball in on their mouth. I know. And then he'd do a handstand from the feet after building the crowd and explain what's happening. Then he'd handstand walk over the person, and then he'd go to the side of the ball with his mouth, and then blow the ball out sideways.
Yeah.
So it wasn't blown in the mouth. And then he'd finish the walk and then come down and obviously do the bows and the congratulations and stuff. So that was his.
Wow.
And one of our friends, I can't remember his name now. One of our friends on one of the original boxes was like a hexagonal box.
Okay. And
the three balls fitted in the box. And then underneath he did a recipe on using the three juggling balls to be an actual hob. You put the three juggling balls together, light them. So he actually did that as a hob. He's not with us anymore.
So you're around all these jugglers. You're going to the juggling conventions. Is that why you just sort of? Was it almost like by osmosis? You had to start.
Yeah.
Because all your friends.
Yeah.
Were doing that.
So in '88. In '88, unfortunately, I didn't get to see Sam in '88 at the first British Juggling Convention, but I met all the other of the SEM team, Yuri and his dad.
That's Sem Abrahams from the famous Abrahams SEM Cycle unicycle family.
There was a guy, when I knew sort of how commercial juggling can be, there was a guy practicing a routine or the juggling props that Domestos or some cleaning company had made these props. So he had a rubber padlock, he had a rubber bottle, smaller, of the product, and then he had a sponge, and in the sponge was a weight.
Okay.
So he juggled those three items. I don't remember ever seeing the advert unless it was for an exhibition or something. So yeah, he basically was in the juggling hall practicing juggling those three items to show the cleanliness and the security of you using the cleaning product.
Yeah.
Because and I got to meet that year. I got to meet the amazing Steve Rollins, juggler.
Oh yeah.
He was there. Yeah, he's a good friend now. I've invented and made him some props, and other friends have made him some props.
I've interviewed him on this very podcast. He's an amazing guy.
Sure. 1 second.
Hey! Hello, the dog's back.
All right. The dog's back. Sorry, I locked the front door. I didn't think I locked the front door.
Go for it. I like this. This makes the interview sound real. And it also gives me a chance.
I am not a robot.
Also gives me a chance to talk about you. How did you start doing entertaining? How did you start doing shows? And you're now a full-time entertainer, right?
Yeah. Well, I picked up the unicycling, picked up the juggling, and just kept on adding extra bits. The business cards I was talking about.
Yeah.
I put some business cards into the juggling shop, and so I'd moved into Barry about 30 years ago, and a guy in Barry also picked up my business cards because he wanted somebody to teach circus skills in Barry.
Right.
And Pete Gamble, you might want to interview him as well because he's knowledgeable on whips and knives and Western skills. He's been to America and he's beat the Americans at whip competitions, and so he picked up my card, wanted me to teach circus skills in the leisure centre because he used to be a manager at the leisure centre, and I was doing the workshops, and then we started doing shows together. So we started Pick a Mix about 25 years ago, and he left about 2-3 years ago. We still do gigs together. Yeah. I run Pick a Mix Circus, and he runs his own company.
So tell me, what kind of gigs were you getting at the start?
All sorts. I remember one of our early ones. There was one of our juggling friends. He got us lots of jugglers gigs in a place called Blackwood, up in the valleys, and it was a shopping centre, and it was some of mine and Pete's first shows. We were just doing crazy juggling stuff and a bit of juggling and unicycling and silliness, and then a few years, like I said, about 25, 26 Christmases ago, we went to Circus Space and learned Western skills. So that's when Pete really picked up on the whip cracking. But we both learned all of it, and so then we added whip cracking and lasso. We've done in fire shows. Pete's made a massive fire lasso, and I stand inside the fire lasso. And then about 20 odd years ago, we started knife throwing. So he made up a board. So I stand against the board, and Pete throws knives around me. And we added a magic trick in there as well. Yeah. So we did it in Glastonbury Festival, and I made a massive balloon man, and the board was painted white, and I had some ace of diamonds cut out, so it was a big the whole board was a large ace of diamonds with the diamond shape in the middle, and the ace and diamonds, I put some stars around the edge. So we had the ace of diamonds board, the full-size balloon guy, and then we covered it with a cloth. Yeah. And then we did some unicycling, whip cracking, and stuff like that in the show. And then we got somebody to choose a card, keep the card, and then we lifted the cloth up. Pete would throw some knives at the bloke and burst the balloon bloke. And then the ace of diamonds, and then we say to the person, "What was your card?" And they'd chosen the ace of diamonds, and the whole board was an ace of diamonds.
Oh, lovely.
And yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. I liked adding that one. And then I'd stand on the board. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what were your characters? Was one of you talking, or were you both talking, or was one of you silent?
Pete did most of the talking.
Yeah, I thought so.
I do a bit. Yeah. On Facebook, I had the clip of us at the European Juggling Convention last year. Pete ran the Western skills area. Yeah. With all the Western skills, knife throwing, axe throwing, lasso, and whip crack, and I ran the balloon room. But they had a Western skills show, so Pete and I do a Western skills double act, and I've got I'm dressed as a Native American, Pete's dressed as a cowboy, and then I've got the horse's head on the unicycle. And then I've got coconuts. So Pete comes out, he cracks a few whips, and then he does his intros. If you listen carefully, put one ear to the ground, and you'll hear in the far distance the noise of the horses going over the plains.
Yeah.
So then from backstage, I'm on the unicycle with a coconut in each hand. So I come out doing the clicking the coconuts and come on. Yeah. And the funny bit in the video, the horse's head just happened to be off at a bit of an angle.
Okay.
So Pete was doing an introduction for this piece we were going to do, and I kept on, because most of my characters are quite crazy, I kept on moving the head straight, and it kept on flopping back. So I was fighting this horse's head to try and keep it central. And all the audience are laughing. Pete's looking across, going, "What's on? We're meant to be doing something," and he starts laughing. Yeah. So and we also do a medieval double act.
Yeah.
So he plays Merlin the magician. So I play Drool the fool, the mad jester.
Yeah.
Got a nice old-fashioned mustard jester's outfit.
Yeah.
And I push a cart. So we're doing walkabout at this visitors attraction we do quite regularly, not this year. And I'm pushing a cart, and I don't speak. I just squeak. I don't speak. So my voice is just squeaking. So Pete tells the story that he cut out my tongue for subordination. Is that the right word?
Insubordination.
Yeah. So
insubordination. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's got my tongue in a copper container on his necklace. So he gets that out and scares. We got rubber tongue, so we get that and scare the kids. So we're doing our first set of the day, and I'm walking along with the medieval cart with the big wheel. Yeah. So so medieval, the Western scales, we do suited and booted in our orange and blue. But so we started doing shows and workshops.
Yeah.
I started stilt walking. Annette, Toby's mum, she had a fancy dress stall.
Oh.
So
lovely.
she was running this little festival in the street in Cardiff, and she asked me to do stilts, but she also asked me to go around the youth clubs beforehand and make stilts with all the teenagers.
Oh.
So they paid for all the wood, and I got ties or seat belts for the straps, and guttering to go at the top of the stilt to go around the leg.
Yeah.
And I took saws and screws and nails, and I went to about 6 different youth clubs.
Yeah.
They all made their stilts.
Wow.
They cut them to varying heights depending on how brave they were.
Yeah.
So I taught them to make the stilts and taught them to walk on stilts, and then we all came together, and we all walked in the parade on stilts.
I've seen your
Mm-hmm.
stilts have some lovely boots, some lovely shoes in your stilts. What are those shoes?
Yeah, the original stilts I did in that parade were just wood 2x2. But over 20 years ago, I bought Dura Stilts, which a lot of people use for plastering and build, and a lot. There's sort of it's about 3 or 4 different sets of stilts now. So when I first set of stilts I made was with the kids for the parade, so it was wooden pegs, and a lot of people like the pegs because you can spin round more, but you can't stand still. So there's the balance there. In my garage, I've got some bouncy stilts.
Oh yeah.
I've got an illuminated stilt monster. Pete and I, for years, we did a nightclub in Cardiff. We'd do it every Saturday night, and we'd do 2 different characters and walk around the club doing crazy different characters. We were doing nuns. I'd go on stilts. We'd do balloon modelling. We did old people. Pete was an old man. I was an old woman. We had Zimmer frames, and you got like all these young clubbers dancing around us, having a whale of a time. And I'm drinking out of a bottle. Pete's smoking because obviously years ago in the UK, you could still smoke inside.
Yeah.
And we got Zimmer frames, and Pete's got a burgundy smoking jacket on, and I've got an old lady's costume and a grey wig, and I'm drinking out of a bottle, and he's smoking, and we got Zimmer frame, and all the clubs are loving it, dancing around us.
And
madness.
Are you on
yeah.
stilts? Am I right? You're on stilts?
Some of them.
Are you on
some of them, yeah, I did. For some of them, and some on the ground.
Yeah,
but the one character I made for the club was this illuminated monster.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Dura Stilts on the front. I had crutches, but double length, and then there's the product. A lot of people use live wire. We got an illuminated wire and got a 9-volt battery pack at the end. So I threaded all red and blue live wire through the monster's costume, and I had white live wire around the teeth. And for the face, I started with a crash helmet base, and then I first made like a hinge coming down the side of my face, and then made the mouth and elasticated it. So whenever my mouth moved, the monster's mouth would move.
Oh, brilliant! Do you make all this stuff yourself? And does it pay for it? Do you charge the client in advance, or do you make it and then hope you'll sell?
Most of the costumes I buy, like the monster I made. I've got a 12-foot giraffe costume. I had special aluminium stilts made with a reverse angle for the back leg.
I better jump in here. When you say giraffe, you don't mean a giraffe unicycle. You mean a giant giraffe puppet on stilts that someone can get inside, right?
Well, I'm inside the giraffe costume, yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
So the rear stilts, my brother used to do location catering. His coach builder, because all these vehicles you see, specialist vehicles, they're made somewhere. They're made in the coach builders. So he had a coach builder's place. So I went and saw the guy who runs the coach building place, and I did a 2 hours kids party for his daughter, and then I went into the coach builders for a day. He gave me a bloke to do all the welding, so I pointed out the aluminium tube that I wanted and the angles I wanted at, and I took the straps, my old straps off my old Dura Stilts. I changed the straps, so I had Dura Stilt straps. So yeah, for one kid's party, I had the run of this coach builders, and one person working with me, and all the aluminium tubing, all the aluminium plate, everything.
Yeah.
And then we welded some half square block to hold the straps in place, and then I got some old car tire and riveted car tire to the bottom for grip, and then the front again is the same as my stilted monster. They're crutches with an extra length of tube at the bottom to bring it longer.
Wow.
And then for the giraffe, I got a back.
That's for your forearms, for the front legs of the giraffe.
Yeah, front legs. And then for the neck, I have a rucksack, and then tubes coming off the rucksack to hold the neck in place. And then I got brown mesh in the pattern of the giraffe to look through to see. And then Pete's the comedy keeper. So we walk about. We've done it at Barry Island. We've done it at Glastonbury Festival. We've done it at loads of different events.
So is this one of your specialties? You build these weird and wonderful costumes, because you've got like a jetpack man. You've got I've seen photos of a bunny carrying somebody with some fake legs.
Yeah. Fake.
Oh, real legs, very real legs. Yes, there's definitely a real person being carried by a giant 6-foot bunny. And a rocket man, right? A rocket man.
Rocket man. Yeah, I'll tell you about Rocket Man in a minute. But the three characters I've got from America, my friend bought, is the rabbit.
Okay.
And the gorilla with the cage. Yeah. You've seen that one?
Yeah. So...
And then there's... so I'm in the cage, and the 7-foot gorillas carry me in the cage. Yeah, that's a fun one. I've done that at shopping centres and festivals and all sorts. He's fun. And then the upside down clown is from the same company.
Right.
And basically, your head is in a foam block, and that's attached to fake legs in the air.
Yeah.
And then on your feet you've got big rubber latex hands.
Right.
To look like you're permanently walking on your hands, and then you've got the clown's face is strapped to your waist.
Yeah.
And then the clown sort of looking down at his hands. And you just gotta put on a character that you've just got to sort of stumble about a bit. You can't walk like a normal person because it looks stupid. So you walk with a bit of a stumble. Yeah. And the brilliant one with that is if you've got a nervous woman or a teenage child, you're stumbling and then you start to run towards them because they think you're out of control and you're going to fall on them. Yeah, so I bought mine off another guy to interview, Luke Juggler.
Okay.
He's really nice. He, for the first 10 years, him and Lucy, they always performed in the BJC Gala show.
Right.
Luke and Lucy from Juggler. He lives down West Wales. He's really nice. But I bought the upside down clown off him.
Yeah.
Because the two other costumes from my friend, he had the upside down clown, but he sold it to a woman who does marathons.
Oh.
So this woman was going to run in this upside down clown suit in a marathon. Bad enough for 45 minutes.
The giraffe, the rabbit, the gorilla. What about the jetpack? That's not. I've never seen anything like that before. That's a funny one.
Yeah. So jetpack. It's good you mentioned because my nickname is Tangent Man for some friends. Because I'll start a story, go off on a tangent, then I'll come back to that story.
I've noticed this, but I've been interviewing you. Yes.
So my nickname's Tangent Man. So at the British Juggling Convention about 7-8 years ago, because the British Juggling Convention have a different theme every year.
God.
So everybody dresses up, and so one year they had a superhero theme.
Yeah.
So I made Tangent Man for the fancy dress costume, and I won the fancy dress costume at the British Juggling Convention.
Describe it.
Yeah, so I made all of it. So I started with the backpack.
Jetpack.
So it was
a
jetpack,
right?
Jetpack, yeah. So I started with a rucksack and two side rockets. They're like army canisters for storing, for carrying ammo and stuff.
Yeah.
So I started those. I had to cut into those because to get the illusion, like the rabbit and the gorilla and Tangent Man, your legs have got to come out looking natural. Because if I just had the rucksack on, my body would be too far forwards or backwards. Yeah, my body wouldn't have been too far forwards. So the rockets look upright, but they're actually sort of coming forwards.
Right.
So I've cut into them to bring them further forwards at the bottom. So my body is further back at the bottom, so my legs look more natural coming out the bottom.
It's quite complicated to describe, yeah. But basically, you've got to hide the fact that your legs are there, that your real legs are hidden beneath the so-called plume of rocket fumes racing out of this jetpack. And you've got to get the angles right, haven't you? So there's this fake fire coming out of the jetpack, and your real legs are hidden inside there.
Yep.
Yeah. And
so the fake legs are actually, I use the legs from. I've got another costume as well. I had made especially for me. It's a giraffe. So, sorry, not giraffe, kangaroo.
Oh.
So it's like a 7-foot kangaroo, and I'm sat in the pouch. And so a really nice guy who's a performer and a costume maker, Birmingham, Manchester way, he made that for me. And so the legs from Kylie the kangaroo, the legs are strapped around my waist. So I use those legs for Tangent Man, the Rocket Man's legs. And so I got a morph suit in orange. Got some shiny blue shorts for Tangent Man, and then I wanted a really nice mask, and all the blue masks were a bit dodgy, so I bought a blue sleep mask with a nice shape, and I cut out the eye shape myself. You'll see that if you If you're going to
that's
add
what it
photos
is.
of that in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so yeah, it's an eye mask, and I actually cut out the eyes so I could have it to my design. Yeah, and then so when I was doing walking around for the fancy dress competition at the British Juggling Mate, I was just walking inside the flames.
Yes.
But there's a really nice guy called Peter White. God, I'm giving you so many leads here, mate.
Yeah.
A real nice guy called Peter White. He said you need a hoverboard under there. So then, so when I went home, I bought a hoverboard, and I made a bit of a frame on the hoverboard. And I can't remember if I put wire in the bottom of the skirt originally, the fire skirt. So I put wire in the fire skirts, and then so it'd fit and wouldn't scuff. I made some foam covers for the wheels on the hoverboard, so the skirt wouldn't get caught.
Yeah. This is one of those sort of boards with wheels where you just lean forward and it drives around, so you can look like you're just racing around without moving your legs. Yeah, just racing around. Yeah.
Yeah, go and spin. Yeah, they're the best ones. The really nice ones that are expensive are the off-road hands-free Segway.
Oh.
So yeah, Peter White, who gave me that idea, I got him there to perform in the Renegade. I stage managed the Renegade shows at the British Juggling Convention. And I'm sure all your listeners know what the Renegade is and how it started.
But maybe not, because there'll be listeners from overseas and Hong Kong who don't know what that is.
Yeah. So Tom Renegade, who's famous juggler in America, he used to go to the IJA conventions, and it was all competition 7-ball, competition 5-ball, competition this, and all the shows were who can do this juggling, who can in the show. But he wanted it more fun and flowy and madness. Yeah. So he set up the Renegade show, which people just went to and they set it up and they just ran it from scratch.
Yeah.
And then about over 20 years ago, they started the Renegades at the British Juggling Convention. Yeah. And they're normally at midnight, and people just turn up. You'd get a compere, a sound man, and then you just run the show from scratch
with all sorts of crazy shows. Anybody can put on whatever they want. Love it.
You can if you interview Devil Stick Pete, you can ask him what he started at Renegade. So he did one of the most famous things at a Renegade the first time. So I got Pete to come, because he does an act called Professor Hoffman, and he's this mad scientist, and he's got all these different containers around the stage, and then there's little explosions of smoke going off, and he's trying to make this one big explosion happen, but it won't happen. And the button breaks, and somebody comes out, and they're trying to make the button go off, and then at the very end, this big cloud of smoke is in the this big contraption. So you've now got a thin layer of smoke going over all of the audience, and the big container, he's made it into, the smoke rings. You've got those guns in the sort of geek shops, and you let go and it blows your face from a distance.
Oh yeah. I know those.
Yeah, it's like a bin. You've got a rubber bit on the back, and you let go, and it. But if you put smoke inside those bins, it'll throw a smoke ring. But he's made.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, so if anybody's in a geek shop or in a gadgety type shop, and you see the air bazooka or something they're called.
Yeah, it just shoots a blast of air across the room. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see them on YouTube. They knock over polystyrene cups. But if you get a smoke machine or an electronic smoke thing, and you put smoke inside, it'll actually shoot smoke rings.
Oh, that's
lovely.
But
he made it out of a full-size bin. So he's shooting like 2-foot diameter smoke rings, which are thick smoke, through the audience, which is covered in thin smoke. So you see all these.
Wow.
So I got him in to close the Renegade. Another Renegade, I got Wes Peden to close for me, and and I'd go round early evening going, "You coming to Renegade?" Yes. Oh, can will you close me? I go, oh, okay. But the funny thing about Peter White, when he did Professor Hoffman, he came from Sheffield down to Nottingham to do his show.
Yeah.
And being a professional, he had all his pyrotechnics in a metal trunk.
Yeah.
But he forgot the key. But luckily, about 10 years ago, Pete and I started learning lock picking. So we do lock picking workshops for corporate. Yeah. So yeah, we for security companies and other companies, we teach it at the European and British Juggling Convention in the evening.
God.
how to pick locks. So Pete was there. Pete White was there, and he'd forgot his key. So I started picking it, but I had to get on the stage manager. So there's another guy who was at the convention, Professor Dunks, who's a really good lock picker.
Yeah.
So he carried on. He picked the lock and he opened the lock.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Good. Well, about 15 years ago, Pete and I were doing this gig at a fete. I was setting up my balloons, and we set up the show. And he's got a trike that bubbles come out the back.
Okay.
And it's electronic assist. So we're setting up everything. It's about 10 minutes before I was going to do some balloons, and he was going to do some bubble cycle out, and he forgot his key.
Mm.
So I used my lock picking set to turn on his ignition of his battery assisted pedal trike.
Wow. And
so we left it on, and he just the power socket, he used that as the on and off switch to turn the power on.
Whoa.
So yeah, lock picking is quite handy.
Wow.
It's a good skill to have.
But there's a skill that I want to talk about, and I know I found out why you're called Tangent Man. I was wondering about that. I was wondering why Tangent Man was a name for a rocket character. It's because you go off at a tangent whenever you talk. Okay, this is something weird I've noticed, right? I interviewed an Australian unicyclist, same surname as you, no relation, Simon Wells. And he is a professional unicyclist, won a medal in one of the Unicorn in Japan in 2004. Anyway, he's a great unicyclist. When I interviewed him, though, I found out he'd become a balloonist. I have another friend called Lars, a unicyclist in Denmark. Maybe you know him. He's a unicyclist in Denmark. He runs the Danish Unicycling Federation. Wonderful unicyclist. What does he do now? He's a balloonist. I'm talking to you. Yeah. I met you. You were a unicyclist. But what do you do now, mainly? You do balloons. So let's talk about that.
Mainly balloons. And you've got, in America, Cody Williams. He's a really good unicyclist. He's a really good balloon modeler as well. So, yeah, there must be a few out there.
Weird.
Yeah. There must be a few out there.
I wonder whether it's because unicyclists start off purely... a lot of unicyclists start off because as a skill thing. As a skill thing. Yeah. And balloons is also a skill thing. It's not really performing in a way. Yeah. It's more like the skill of learning it, and I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
It's strange that unicyclists turn into balloonists.
And a lot of performers seem to be creative making as well, because I know a lot of jugglers make jewellery and stuff like that. I used to do...
That's so weird. There's a guy in Hong Kong, Yan Priest, one of the best clowns and jugglers in Hong Kong. What's his other job?
Yeah.
A jeweller. Isn't it weird?
Yeah. In the world, I know there's a crossover, but mainly there's creatives and academics. And I suppose being a creative performing, it's nice to create things as well.
Yeah.
Because I used to make jewellery out of stained glass.
But Mr. Tangent Man, tell me about balloons. You've got giant balloons on poles, huge green monsters, 10 foot high, being used like puppets on. You got people holding the poles 10 feet down to move the balloons around. You've done for people's retirement parties. You've built like a retirement sign out of balloons.
Yeah.
You've done. You've got. I've seen a video of you with what on earth? It looks like there's a levitating, spinning ring of balloons above an air pump. Is it actually? Is that real? Is that really levitating?
Yeah. There's at the European Juggling Convention last year, I did 2 rings, one inside another.
So they're literally, it's not a trick. They really are. The air blower is blowing up a gust of air, and the balloons are suspended in there, spinning around a ring of balloons. Find it on YouTube, people. It's really cool.
It's similar to like hands-on science centres.
Yeah,
in Cardiff,
like you have the pump that makes the ping pong ball float in the air.
Yeah, and the beach ball.
Yeah,
the famous, ball. The very first. It must have been instilled from me from in the Cardiff science exhibition. It's called Techniquest, and they got a beach ball, and they got a little pyramid blower, and it's blowing from an angle. So I did a single loop at the British Juggling Convention one year, and then last year I bought another little smaller pump, so I had a ring inside a ring at the European Juggling Convention.
It doesn't seem possible. It doesn't seem possible. You see the video and you think, what is that? It's real.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, you can do them with the bigger one is like an electric balloon decorator's pump.
Yeah. Pumping
up balloons. The smaller one is more of a sort of airbed pump.
Okay.
But you need shape. So you need there's a modelling balloon. Some people know something. It's called a quick link. So it's like a round balloon, but it's got an extra point on the end.
Yeah.
So they all join together. That's why they're called quick links. So yeah, you need a bit of thickness for the air to get hold of. But it depends. Yeah, you have to play around with it. The yellow monster you were talking about is where I did the single tube at the British Juggling Convention, because the British Juggling Convention, like I said, I have a theme each year.
Yeah.
And so there was an octopus. So we had loads of spare quick links, and we made up the tube. We actually only for a little bit. It was really difficult. We had like about 30 balloons going on once, and that was the one full leg of the octopus. But yeah, about 12, 15 balloons is about the best. So yes, and next year's British Juggling Convention we got to do 3.
3?
Yeah.
Wow.
3 for Charlie.
What is...
the balloon...
I've seen you doing some videos about how to do videos for balloons. What is double stuffing a 160? What is that? Does that ring any bells?
So a standard modelling balloon is called a 260.
Yeah.
The ones... All the buskers use them for making a dog and doing comedy bits.
Yeah.
So the numbers relate to the size of balloons. So 260 is allegedly 2 inches across and 60 inches long.
Right.
So 160 is 1 inch across and 60 inches long. So that's the thinnest balloon you can get.
Yeah.
So then traditionally the fattest balloon you could get was a 350. So 3 inches across, 50 inches long. But they've now bought out a 646 a few years ago. So it's 6 inches across and not quite, but 46 inches long. And they're actually huge. They're what are used on the arms of the jester, the massive jester puppet.
And what is double stuffing? And what do you do with... What's the point of double stuffing a balloon?
So you get a piece of wire about 2 millimeters across and about 30 or so inches long. Sorry, 30 centimeters long. And you use that piece of wire and you put it inside a modelling balloon.
Yeah.
You can do it with it. You can do it with any size really. 160, 260, 350.
Yeah.
6 or 6. I don't think you. I'd have to check. You could double stuff with 6 or 6, but I'm not too sure what it'd do. So you get your first colour. And you put it over the first 160. You put it over the wire. You stretch it down so the latex is really stretched, and then you put another 160 on the end.
Yeah.
And because the first one is stretched thin, you can then grab hold of the nozzle of the second one.
Yeah.
And you can then pull that down over the first one. So, but there's quite a few reasons to use it. One is strength.
Yes.
So if you want a creation to last a long time,
yeah,
you've got its double thickness. So that makes it stronger.
Yeah.
other things you can do is get various colours, but you always put a darker balloon inside a lighter balloon, and to show through. Even if people have got a basic bag of 260s colours, get a coat hanger, undo it, make sure the one end is smooth. If you even put like a blue under a green, you get a mad colour. I put different UV neon balloons inside each other, and you get crazy colours.
Awesome.
And a few years ago, they came out a new balloon called a chrome balloon, which is really shiny. And if you put a dark colour inside a chrome balloon, it gives mad colours. Another thing you can do, which is a nice, clever trick, if somebody asks for a panda, you put a black inside a white, or no white. It doesn't matter. So if you put a white inside the black, you make a standard teddy bear balloon. And then you say, "Oh, there's your panda." They go, "No, that's all black." So then what you do, you get a bit of gaffer tape or sellotape or something sticky, and you quickly rub it on the black, and that will then burst the outer layer of just that one section. So if you've got the bear's belly, and you just burst that section, that will change. And then on the face, you can just burst the outer sections of the face, and you'll keep the nose and the ears a different colour.
So you've got the white face, the black ears, the white belly, the black legs. That's awesome. Wow, that's clever.
So that's that. You can also put a 160 inside a 260. So you've got a skinny one inside of the standard one. So you put them inside. You can get away without doing it with a double stuffing stick, because they're a different size. They slide over each other easier. And all balloons have got a powder coating on the inside and outside, and they keep it smooth as well and stop them sticking. And then you put a 160 inside a 260. But what you got to do, you've got to put the pump in between the 160 and 260, and then you pump up just the 260 section a part way. Then you put the pump in the middle of the 160 and you pump it up. And then you can do the main one is a colour inside a clear. So you can see through. The old balloons used to be called jewel tones, and those are sort of the early modern balloons. You could see through them. But the good thing about the jewel tones is nice shadow pictures. So you make a creation and get a real strong light or a sun, and the colour will go through the jewel tone and project a coloured shadow. So
lovely.
So that's quite nice. But that's double stuffing. Again, you can do double stuffing with rounds. You can do double stuffing with quick links. You can double stuff. The only balloon you can't double stuff is called a donut, and looks like a flower. It's got a hole in the middle. You can't double stuff. You can't double stuff a donut into a donut, but you can double stuff a 160 or a 260 into a donut. When you start putting them in different things, it's called distortion. So you can put a modelling balloon inside a round balloon, and you get different shapes.
I want to shout out how amazing is that full-size silver knight in shining armour that you made. I saw a picture of that on the internet. You've made some really good models. That's lovely. That's a really good.
That was nice. That's with the chrome balloons. That was at the Canterbury, because the Canterbury is a medieval town, so the theme for the convention was medieval. So Devilstick Pete took his medieval jester tents. He set them up, and so we made the knights. My friend Tess Cartwright, she was a teacher with me, and we made the knights. And the feather on the top, we put a feather and attached it to a mirrorball motor, a battery-powered mirrorball motor. Because a lot of my creations, I like movement.
They move, yes. They do. Your bicycle smooth. Your balloon bicycle smooth. Your wedding car. The wheels go round.
The wheels move. Yeah. So basically, we made it, and it was about 20 foot down in the corridor, and there was this first door into the building. There was a second door into the building, and then the night was about 20 foot down.
Yeah.
And I was walking past, and this guy didn't know I made it with Tess, and he said, "Oh, that feather! It's amazing how the wind makes it blow in circles." I mean, how can the wind get through one door to another door and over there with making it rotate? Yeah. So.
That's one of your specialties, isn't it? You've built, like, I've seen pictures like of a full size pink car for a wedding, and there's some little motors to make the wheels go round.
Yeah.
Really clever.
I also put. I didn't get a photo, but I also put lights in the front and back of the car. So later in the evening, the lights would have glowed.
Oh, lovely.
And then I made. You see in the photo, I made balloon tin cans for the wedding car, so that their name was Paul, and I think her name was Helen. So I put P and H soup, P and H, and then I was running a bit of time. I said to my wife, I said, "Oh, think of something we can do for the third tin."
Yeah.
So we did P and H confetti, but like spaghetti. So it's confetti, but in the spaghetti tin. Yeah. So.
When you're building these balloon installations, aren't you worried that by the time you've made it, and by the time the guests come, some of the balloons are going to burst, or some of the... you know what my question is.
Yeah. Well, like I said, some of them, if I know they've got to be strong and last a long time, then I'll double stuff them for the strength.
Yeah.
You underinflate them, so the air, if it gets hotter or colder somewhere, then the balloons inflate and deflate.
Yeah.
Yes, they inflate and deflate. And just keep ideally putting them in the shade or indoors.
Yeah.
But the balloons, my one other favourite I made with a motor, a couple were getting married in a lighthouse in South Wales.
Yeah.
And so they were also big into their music as being musicians.
Yeah.
So I made, for the picture frame, I made a drum, a flute, a guitar for the people to hold. And the picture frame, down one side I put the lighthouse and the rocks. And then the rest of it was all mixes of blues for the sea and the sky. I think I put the sun in one corner. But for the lighthouse, it's the only one I've done so far which illuminates and rotates together.
Out of balloons. Amazing.
So back to lights and double stuff in the moon. So I put the light with a silver double stuffed into a clear. So when it went round, the silver hid the light, so it was like a real lighthouse. You didn't see the light all the time.
Oh my goodness!
Because I double stuffed the light inside a clear balloon with a silver inside, and so then I attached that to a mirrorball motor, which was on the frame covered by the lighthouse.
God.
So it illuminated and rotated. I'm sure I'll do more in the future, but I haven't done since. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And talking about the future and the present. So you're a full-time entertainer. What do you get most of your work? What do you get? What percentage of your work is balloons? What percentage is roving? What percentage is maybe a stage show with peeps? What's your main area of business?
I'm because I like it and I'm doing more of it. The balloons seem to be at least 50%, and then sort of 10% workshop, 10% shows, 10% walkabouts. I do human statue.
Yeah.
I do the odd gig, human statue. So you're saying about costumes. For the human statue gig, I think it's on the website. It should be on the website. There was a new agent. There was an accountant that's moved to a new office. They had an office opening for all their customers and potential customers. So I did a purple statue.
Yes.
Because they wanted it purple.
Yes,
so
I've
I went
seen
in and had
this.
a meet. I went in and had a meeting. So I told them what company to buy the suit from. I bought a shirt, and then I bought some gloves. And they were going to say, "I'll just wear black shoes," but I found some really nice purple shoes on eBay for like 15 quid. So they told me to buy that. So I added it to the invoice. And so I made, because they said, we've got a brochure. I said, "Oh, what is it A for?" So I made a plastic foam A4 frame to put the brochure over the top of.
Yeah.
So basically, because I had gloves on, I used a fake hand with a glove on, and I take that to the brochure.
Yeah, yeah.
So I can hold onto the brochure with my real hand in the glove, and then the fake hand is stuck to the other side.
Yeah.
So my first set was in reception, sat on the reception seating as they came in and got their sticker. So they'd look at me, and then I'd either bring my spare hand from behind there and tap my badge to say, "You've got to have your badge on," or I'd wave. and then, because I like to add magic to my performance. I've got a juggling magic idea. I've got to make one year, which is a bit of a secret. So I've got a nice magic juggling prop I want to make.
You don't have to reveal your secret yet.
Yeah.
Russell, yet again.
In the future.
Yet again, Russell, I've got to take a break and get my family dinner.
No problem.
I mean, it's amazing talking to you. I met you as a unicyclist, and I had no idea that you went on to do so many things. It's really quite amazing. All right?
Cool.
Thank you so much for talking, buddy.
No problem. Yeah, if you want any follow-up bits or any more chat or any more...
you could be the first person to have a part 3.
Yeah.
Your magic show for kids. I haven't even gotten to that. You do a magic show at kids' birthday parties.
I do a mix. I do a mix of juggling.
Wow.
Magic, juggling, and silliness. Yeah.
About you. All right, I'm going to go and get my dinner, and
cool.
And I'll let you know when I've edited these podcasts. Listen, I got to rush, so I'll be late for my dinner. So we'll stay in touch.
Good chatting.
It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
All right, mate.
Take
See
care.
you later.
Bye.
Bye, mate.
Now, to keep my costs down, not every single episode is available as a downloadable podcast all the time. But they are all available on my website, thebigbenshow.com/podcasts. So, if there's an interview you really want to listen to, just go to my website and listen there. And if, like me, you are fascinated by all the performers, all the tips and all the resources mentioned in this podcast, and you want to learn more, then go to thebigbenshow.com/podcasts. There you will find detailed show notes for every single episode, as well as the occasional photo and video.
And the other mad one I didn't tell you because the wife was about yesterday. I landed on the ground and broke my right radial head in my elbow.
Oh no!
So Yuri was shocked how unclean UK hospitals are, and there was like a cobweb and a cocoon in the corner of this window, and so that was the most memorable bits of the World Unicycle Convention. Yeah.